All right, everybody, what's going on? Needs more drums. Back in Percusion here for another episode. And today, I know that I promised that. Well, I guess I didn't promise, but or maybe I did. I don't remember. But I know that in the last episode, I said I was going to work on this area over here, and kind of build this up by the waterfront, get this out of the way. But I think there is going to be a change of plan. So currently, we have a ton of demand for industry and not a lot of demand for residential. So I thought that putting a whole residential development here might not be the right now is not really what the city needs the most. So I will come back to that probably, dare I say, in the next episode. But we'll see how that how this one works out, and if there's more demand, then we'll definitely build that up. But for now, I just don't think. Oh, cool, capital city, nice. So we got some new policies. Oh, and we get the harbor, cargo harbor. Awesome. Okay. Some upgrades to our water treatment, and we can actually unlock a new area. That's awesome. Cool. So we could finally, I might just, let me see. What do we got? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm thinking about just buying this area here, and then we can, use like the last 3 tiles, like here, here, and here, and we'll have this whole area to be able to build, which is exactly the amount of space that we're gonna need. I intend on kind of making a second city here, and then this will just be some less dense, suburban areas, or maybe even some more farmland. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I wanted to get my forestry in here somewhere, maybe here, or actually, maybe since we have all this space, maybe I'll actually move it kind of over here and save, this just for some more farmland expansion in the future. But anyway, what I want to do today is really put a dent, or at least try to put a dent in this industrial demand. And I want to work this area here. All of this is just very unfinished right now. And, I know that building a city is a process and it takes time, but sometimes, it's frustrating when you just kind of can envision something and it just doesn't, you just don't feel like it's a whole city just right away, which is one of the joys of playing the game, I guess. But yeah, so we're going to do a lot in this area today. I want to expand out this industry. I want to rework kind of some of these roads around here, for this mining area. Kind of rework some of this, kind of add to this too, because we're right on the brink of we just need a few more workers and we'll be able to level up. We got plenty of resources produced, so that's another goal for today. Hopefully, we can level up our mining area, but we'll see if that happens. But yeah, I have a few ideas, and I don't know if I forget if I mentioned this or not, but it's actually Centralia Mining Company. Somebody suggested in the comments this name, Centralia, for one of the districts, or for the mining district, and I thought it was a great idea, and so I wanted to use it for the mining district because not sure if you are familiar with exactly what Centralia is, but there is a town in I believe it's Pennsylvania, where it used to be an old coal mining town, but the government has actually, back in I want to say it was back in might have been as recent as the 90s, or a little bit before then, maybe in the 80s, around there somewhere, or maybe even like the 60s. But I don't know, sometime in the mid to late 1900s, the government enacted eminent domain and completely evacuated the town because since the early 1900s, there was a coal mine fire that started in the coal reserves, and it spread all under the town because the coal and everything was flammable, and so it never got put out, and supposedly it's still burning to this day. There's just this kind of the fire and the heat is working its way around the underground of the city, and there were just random sinkholes everywhere, and everything was just falling apart, and it was just too dangerous to live, and they were like, obviously breathing in all that burning coal stuff is not good. So yeah, the government said we need to evacuate the town, and so I think it's kind of a cool little history behind that name, and so that's why I named this whole mining district the Centralia Mining Company. But hopefully that does not happen here, and hopefully our city doesn't catch on fire and burn from underground. So yeah, but anyway, fun fact of the day, I guess. So there's a little history lesson for you. But anyway, without further ado, let's actually get started with building. I don't think I'm really gonna do much of a time lapse today. I kind of just want to do a little bit of a live play. And so I think what we're going to start with is this road here. Just because I feel like the way it stands right now, like this used to be kind of like the big main road through here before the highway was built. So now it's sort of a bypass slash frontage road. And so it would be weird to just have it kind of end and go straight to the mine. So I want to have, you know, you would think that one day at one point there was probably, maybe I'll build something like that. Maybe like, you know, the remnants of an old bridge kind of under this overpass where you can see where the road once went, but now, you know, it's kind of been, you know, seeing a lot less use. So I think what I'm going to do here is just kind of drag this road to connect it up to this industrial area. And then we can fill this in with some industry in a minute. Yeah, and I also wanted to have another connection to this from, you know, this industry area, because as of right now, it's kind of all the traffic was flowing through this one road here off of the expressway. And so now people can have some different points of access. And if, you know, we do develop up this area or whatever in the future, at least, you know, now these people who work here have a more direct entry than having to go all the way around like through this, you know, back road here. And I'm thinking about even putting something through here, like another bridge or something over these train tracks. But with this being a junction, I'm not sure how well that's going to work. So we'll just leave that for now. Maybe come back to that a little bit later. What I am going to do is kind of show you guys sort of like the way that I like to approach building my industrial areas. So one thing that we need is actually I want to produce some more, not raw materials, but goods from this mining industry. And so we have glass and metals, and so we're already producing some metals over here. So I don't think we'll add to that a little bit later, but for now, I think what we could do is we can add another glass factory and sort of make this a bigger sort of establishment. So I think putting another one of these down, you know, somewhere kind of over here, or I was even thinking over here, but that might be in the way. Actually, that might not be bad there, because then we can hide it. So let's just try this here and see what it looks like. Because I'm thinking we can hide it with some trees, kind of under this overpass. You know, all this, and that way the space hasn't gone to waste. So yeah, let's actually keep this here. I kind of like the way that's looking. And just drag it a little bit closer so that cliff wasn't cutting too much into the overpass. And actually, we can even kind of make this area a little bit smooth going up to this road here. We can just kind of smooth that out, and then we'll cover that up with some trees a little bit later. And this is something that I like to do actually in a lot of my industrial areas, is use Surface Painter mod and this this ploppable concrete. So these act as they're buildings, not props, so they don't count towards your prop limit, and they help get these nice, really clean edges, you know, to your if you're, you know, doing fence lines or something like that. So you know, I figure it's got these garages here. I would imagine this would be some kind of loading area. And actually, let me go ahead and flatten this out a little bit right here. There we go. That's a little better. So yeah, so you know, trucks can come in and out of here, and then this could either be connected to this or just be like its own little facility. But you know, adding in these kind of yards sort of brings a cool realism to your industrial areas, and I like to do that whenever I can. I'm actually going to do something similar here with this train station, just by adding, you know, very simple detail, just adding a couple of fences, and it really helps, you know, make this area look so much more realistic. So there are a few things that I really like to use that kind of are great props for your industrial areas. And so those are any kind of trailer, I think looks fantastic. and any kind of, containers that you can find, like these intermodal containers just look really, really good as, little props to, plop down around your industrial areas, because you would imagine that you'd probably see a lot of these in these kinds of areas, and they really make it look realistic. And then usually I don't do this a ton much anymore, but once in a while, especially with these areas that I know that aren't really going to change, I kind of like to take just a second and just plop down some of these decals that, kind of show the ground has been driven on and it's a little busted up, kind of wore out. And I think that actually makes things look pretty cool as well. And again, like, you could really get a lot of good looking industrial areas with just the vanilla assets. I mean, even if I just kind of plop down one of these trailers, and I know these aren't vanilla, but just hypothetically speaking, but if you plop down some trailers and some of these containers here, you've got yourself some pretty realistic looking areas. And another thing too that you could use is kind of just find like piles of the debris, or any kind of like crates or anything. I like to plop those down as well, and they look good. They look good, and it's something that you would actually probably find, just piles of random stuff strewn about the industrial areas. So plopping that kind of stuff down, would highly recommend it. It really makes your areas look pretty good. So that's good for that. And then what I really want to do is kind of focus on this whole area here. So actually, you know what? I think I lied. I know I said I wasn't going to do a time lapse, but I think I'm going to do a time lapse. So let me just take a second and plop down a few things, and then just enjoy. And I'll talk to you guys in a second. All right, guys, check it out what we built. That didn't make any sense. Check out what we built. So yeah, I'm actually really happy with how this turned out. I think that a couple of things or some tips, I guess, for anyone who's wondering. What I like to do usually is that these assets are fantastic. These warehouse assets on the workshop, and then this little industrial pack here. There's just these like little row kind of wall to wall buildings. These are from there's a Brooklyn pack. They have a bunch of houses and some of these industrial buildings as well. So this is really cool for given this kind of if you need to take up quite a bit of space and you want to make something that's sort of just like one big building, that looks really good. Or these warehouses, like I said, are just awesome. And yeah, just this really didn't take me all that long. Just adding in a couple of details, a few little skid marks, rough terrain, and you know, just trailers and containers, and sometimes I'd like to put these little pallets in here and everything. But yeah, these are all just just a couple of assets, nothing too crazy. I didn't spend hours and hours on this. I built this in like 40 minutes or so. So overall, not bad. I'm pretty happy with it. I still want to work kind of up here and improve the mining a little bit more. And I know I said that I was going to do that, but I didn't actually do that. I was kind of getting carried away with just filling out this space and making this area a little bit better, because it was kind of lacking a little bit. There was just there were some buildings here that I deleted. I didn't really like those. These I guess can stay. Those are fine. But yeah, so I just wasn't really happy with a lot of it, having this big open space here. So now I think that looks a lot better, especially when you look at the city. And as soon as we get kind of this built out here, that's going to look really, really good. This whole side of the highway is pretty much going to be a lot better than where it started. And again, just using some of these trees to just separate from this rail line, create a nice little barrier here. I think that helps a lot with just making everything kind of come together, and you don't have these big weird open spaces. And this is something that I see a lot kind of by where I live. There's these little, there will be some very less dense, low density industrial areas kind of by where I live, and usually they're pretty close to some residential zones as well. So like you'll have like some houses on the side, especially in like older areas where you could tell that it was just like an older road, and there'll be some older houses kind of alongside the road here, and then they'll have the industrial little complexes like this kind of right across the street. And so each one of these buildings is typically like a different company, and everybody just rents out these types of warehouses. So like here I was saying, this might be like a construction company, and they have some dump trucks and stuff. So things like that just kind of, I try to take inspiration from things that I see. And yeah, I think it it helps for sure. And I definitely like going the detailing route a little bit, to not to a crazy extent, but plopping down the buildings and really it's aesthetically it's a lot nicer than just kind of zoning. I mean, everything's kind of more in line with the roads and everything, and all the buildings are exactly facing the way that I want, and I can choose kind of the style that I'm going for. And yeah, it just helps. It's just so different. Like, I mean, look at this area compared to even like this area from when we first started the city. It just, I don't like this at all. It's just like, ugh. So we're gonna do something about that at some point. But yeah, I think this is kind of the route that we're gonna go from now on, and I think it's gonna look a lot better when we start kind of using this technique in other places around the city. Just plopping down buildings and not spending a ton of time on detail, but at least every place sort of will have their own characteristics, and every place is going to be unique. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate all of you guys, and stay tuned for the next episode. As I say all the time, I'm really excited about this build. But yeah, see you guys in the next one. Peace.